truth. Premier League champions 2016, the amazing Leicester City.
Do you not remember when Leicester won the Premier League? If you knew nothing else, that would be enough. Fairy tales, first league titles, doubles, trebles, 100-point seasons, goal difference deciders, and the Invincibles. But it's not just about the winners. It's relegation dogfights, 11-point seasons, top 4 races, and the hunt for European places. Foreign influence, oligarchs, managers, players. There's always controversy. Slips, missed drug tests, karate kicks, managerial meltdowns, dodgy lasagnas, VAR. It's midweek games, the Christmas fixtures, and the run-in. Superstars and legends at every turn. Playing in some of the greatest arenas, Anfield, St James's Park, and the Theatre of Dreams. Simply put, it's the best league in the world, and it's back. It's time for another edition of the Premier League. And this is the Sporting Almanac podcast.
That sums it all up.
Good afternoon, mate.
Afternoon, Ben. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Really looking forward to this week for very obvious reasons.
Yeah, I can't imagine why. It's almost like this is your favourite week of the year.
Yeah, the build-up, a community shield. It's just exciting.
It is exciting, and it's a weird old feeling when you go into it on the back of... It's something I've never experienced before. Obviously, as a Liverpool fan, Liverpool are the reigning champions. I've been in a situation where Liverpool are the reigning champions before, but that was a really weird time, if you remember. It was COVID. And now, I don't know, it's normality, and I don't know what to think. We're going to win it again? What do you reckon, Ben?
You have an excellent chance.
As do you.
When Arsenal go to Anfield, they are going to play some terrorismo football. It's going to be... what we're going to do to you is diabolical.
Against the decency of the game. What would Johan Cruyff say?
Yeah, it's going to be a clash of styles between our two clubs, and I can't imagine City are going to be as shit as they were.
No.
Yeah, lots to look forward to. Chelsea also look good.
They'll be tired.
Although they flattered to deceive.
I mean, they are world champions, but at what cost, Ben? At what cost? We'll find out.
World champions, what shambles. That's a very good point. That is a very good point, though, about those that competed or went deep in the Club World Cup have effectively not had a summer holiday, so could be a factor.
We'll see.
But we'll see.
Anyway.
But yeah, the Premier League. I mean, I was banging on last week about how we love football more than anyone else, and people can take that as they wish. But surely it's far less controversial to say that this is the best domestic league in the world.
I don't really think there's any debate. I think there's arguably at any given time, there may be better teams. There certainly have been in the past 20 years. AC Milan were brilliant about 20 years ago. Obviously, Real Madrid, constantly brilliant. Barcelona have been the best team I've ever seen in the meantime. But the standard they have to play in their leagues ain't there. Like PSG, probably best team in the world at the moment, even though Chelsea beat them in the Club World Cup final. But when do they have a hard game during the regular season? When do they have to go away to Bournemouth and be put on a Iraola masterclass, the classic rainy day in Stoke, even if Stoke aren't in the Premier League anymore? It's not the same. It's easier for them to focus on Europe because they don't have the same standards at home. The Premier League, every single game is a challenge. Anyone from the relegation zone could beat anyone from the top 4 on any day. That's what makes it so wonderful.
Yeah, and there's so many, and that actually, before I make this point, I was going to say, and there's so many competing styles in the Premier League, which is not something you necessarily find on the continent. So sort of everyone in Spain is very technical, for example, and everyone in Germany is relatively direct, and I don't mean long ball. They just play sort of like wing football,
which I
quite
like
a lot. Yeah, which is great. And that's probably why the Germans are so good internationally. But in the Premier League, you get such a wide variety of styles competing against one another, which means that, all the games are interesting.
Yeah.
But the point I was going to make, which is, I say the point you were making, which I was just sort of going to elaborate on and add some additional flavour to, is we're not saying the teams in the Premier League are the best teams. And you made that point very clear. What we are saying is it is the best league. It is the most competitive, it's the most absorbing, it's the most exciting. That doesn't mean that it produces the best teams necessarily. So again, as I said last week, listen to what we're saying, not what you think we're saying.
I think it'd be a very interesting competition to have a European, a fourth-tier European competition before like mid-table teams, and see how the mid-table teams of England stack up against other countries. Because I genuinely, Spain aside, there are some good teams fairly deep in Spain, but I think Italy, I think certainly France, the Netherlands, maybe not Germany so much, but I just don't think they go anywhere near as deep as us. There's too much power and money concentrated at the top. Which, while you could argue is the same in England, there's a lot more money spread out for everyone else to enjoy as well. So I think strength and depth-wise, I think we got it won.
Well, I think that's right, because our coefficient is incredibly strong, and there's a reason for that. And the revamping of European competition very much serves to illustrate that our mid-table teams are strong, because Spurs have now won a European trophy, of course.
Generous of you to call them mid-table.
And so have West Ham. Well, I mean, they were lucky last year to be qualifying for that status. But look, what I'm saying is the one tier down, now that there's been a revamp of the Champions League, gives, your Tottenhams, your Villas, your Crystal Palaces this year, obviously, although, now in the Conference League rather than Europa League, which is a shame.
Yeah, big shame.
Or at least until that appeal is settled.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that, because that's bullshit, that is.
That is bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, and West Ham. We're obviously strong. I suspect a Brighton or a Bournemouth, as you say, versus a 10th or 11th place equivalent on most parts of the continent would be an interesting watch.
I think so.
But we're not here to talk about that. We're talking about the actual Premier League itself.
We are the greatest competition in the world. The only thing sports-wise that keeps me up at night. It's wonderful. It's horrible. It's everything.
It is. If you support a team in the Premier League, it's everything. And as we said last week, if you support a team in any other division, that division's everything. But the one thing that the Premier League does do is it transcends sporting affiliations.
Yeah.
In the sense that everyone is interested in the Premier League. Certainly here, and I would say that's true internationally, regardless of whether or not you actually support a participant.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's the most watched sports league in the world in terms of viewers on television. Obviously, it's not quite the most watched in terms of viewers on seats in stadiums, because the Bundesliga still has us beat. God bless the Germans.
They've also got some better stadia.
They do. They have some incredible stadiums there. But even Germany, I mean, we're talking about competitiveness. Germany don't have it. And I know you can make the argument with Manchester City, England don't have it, but it's not quite that same level.
I mean, COVID served to illustrate that. Do you remember how excited everyone was here in England, in the UK generally, when the Bundesliga came back before any other sporting event, and everyone was glued into their TVs to watch a bit of the Bundesliga, and after about 2 weeks, they were just like, this is not what we were hoping for. We were hoping for something equivalent to the Prem, where every game is gun. But yeah, alas.
No.
You can't have it all. I don't want to upset the Germans any more than I did last week about my strong feelings.
I think I was the worst with the Germans last week. I made a terrible insinuation against Bayern Munich. I would apologise, but it's not our style.
And also, it's not factually inaccurate, so there is no need for apology.
True.
Yeah, the Premier League, where did it all begin?
Where did it all begin?
I mean, because the reason I think we should talk about this just, at least briefly, is because I'm not sure actually many people know about this. It's just a staple of like the sporting calendar now, and people just take it as given. And I think actually how it came about is quite interesting.
Yeah, I think if you're our age, particularly our age, or certainly under the age of 40 now, you probably don't remember this. You don't remember it happening. You've only ever grown up with the Premier League. You don't know what preceded it other than what's in the history books and what you see on the highlight videos and whatever else. I don't think any of this is particularly surprising where it comes from. I don't think any of this will come as a shock to anyone where it comes from. But I think what it does do is it provokes an awful lot of questions and an awful lot of thinking about the direction the game could have gone in, or things that could have been done differently, which may have changed the way the game is now. and less the impact on the Premier League and more the impact, and it's had a colossal impact on the rest of the Football League.
Yes.
And the pyramid, as we talked about last week.
Yes.
That's really the effect it's had more than anything. There's a different way they could have gone about it.
Yeah, well, because it's all money, 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 money.
Mm-hmm.
It is effectively the original Super League blueprint. And when that was sort of revamped in European form recently, it sparked anger because it was
It's exactly the same principle.
It's exactly the same principle. That's the point. Except it didn't quite close it off. So obviously a European Super League would close off the pyramid because it would deny access to the very, very top of the game to English clubs. The Premier League didn't quite do that, but it's, like as you said, had a pretty profound impact on teams' ability to reach the summit.
I mean, I can go into a bit of historical context just to sort of build on a little bit in terms of the share. I was talking about money last week with the Football League episode in terms of how money was shared previously between the different leagues.
I mean, yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good place to start. I was going to just say, we were talking about the playoffs last week in our episode on the Football League itself and the context in which the playoffs formed. It's not dissimilar to the origins, the sort of pea shoots, if you like, of the Premier League, in that despite quite a lot of major success in European football for English teams in the 70s and the early 80s, the mid to late 80s was like a low point in English football. Stadiums were shit, we spoke about that. There was hooliganism, it was rife. All the English clubs faced a 5-year ban following the Heysel disaster in 85. There was the Bradford Fire, there was obviously Hillsborough. A lot of English, well, not even just English, a lot of British players were playing abroad actually as well. And the English Football League was dragging behind Serie A in Italy and La Liga in Spain in terms of attendance and revenue.
Yeah.
And so to give you sort of like a quick illustration.
And quality.
And quality for sure. And that's why I think a lot of the British players were abroad. So you had like Lineker, Platt, Chris Waddle, Glenn Hoddle, Souness, Trevor Francis, Gascoigne, Laurie Cunningham, Liam Brady, Ray Wilkins, Mark Hughes, Ian Rush, etc. It's
John Aldridge as well.
Yeah, all towards the mid to late 80s, the exception being Gascoigne went a little bit later, like in the early 90s, but still pre-Premier League. They were all abroad, playing in predominantly Spain and Italy, but also in France. So
yeah,
that's the scene. And then, as you say, it's probably worth mentioning the way money was being divided up.
Yeah, so, I mean, sort of as we pop back in, and please do listen to last week's episode. It doesn't have to be before this, but after this, goes into a lot of this in a bit more detail. But the FA and the Football League had always butted heads a little bit over professionalism, over payment, over things like that. The maximum wage was imposed, blah, 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 blah. The FA always being the ones who were traditionally wanted the game to be amateur. If they got their own way, the game would have been fully amateur, whereas the Football League wanted to make as much money as possible. That's why the Football League was founded. But the Football League had always been somewhat sort of looking to share money across the different teams, but not for sake of fairness, but for the sake of competition.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to keep it as tight as possible and not have teams running away with it. There was also no real competition for TV rights. There was no BBC and ITV. They would squabble a little bit, but ultimately they put their own best interest first, ultimately. So just to give an example, when the BBC got Match of the Day rights in 1965, they paid £5,000 for it. That was about £85,000 in today's money, and that was split evenly between all 92 league clubs. Anytime any TV money, anytime any money came into the Football League, it would be split evenly amongst all 92 league clubs. So they got about 50 quid each, which is about £1,000 in today's money. So it's nothing. So while top teams could dominate, they rarely did so without being challenged or did so for many years in a row. There was no team who won it 3 years in a row for many, many years.
Well, and Liverpool did it a couple of times in the 80s.
Liverpool did once, I think.
Liverpool won it 3 times in the 80s, and I think 4 and 5 in the 70s. But you're right. If you go back and look at it, it was rare that people defended the title. It had been done, for sure, Wolves and United had done it and stuff, but more often than not, you had different winners, and even if you didn't have different winners, talking about Liverpool, for example, it was always accompanied with a big rivalry with someone. Yeah,
exactly. And by the 80s, it should be mentioned as well that sponsorship had started being a thing, so that was having a factor as well, beyond simply the sharing of revenue, albeit, obviously, it's a club earning that sponsorship. That kind of thing also meant that a great manager, someone like Brian Clough, for example, could come into a relatively small club, a Derby, a Nottingham Forest, and lead them to glory. And it could also mean that a team like Manchester United or Spurs could find themselves getting relegated. In the 1970s, both of them got relegated as well, being all dominant at least one point the decade before. Man United, obviously, European champions. Spurs won the double. And obviously it's tight and controlled in that case. And that changed in 1983, I think. So the 80s saw sort of the first threats of rebellion coming along from the big teams. The equal split that existed as a compromise became a 50-25, 12.5, 12.5 split between the four divisions. So 50% of the revenues going to Division 1, and then 25% to Division 2, and 12.5% to each of the two lower leagues. But yeah, and then obviously, as you say, that was the situation we found ourselves in. There was a few threats of breaking away before that, which makes me worried about the European Super League, because that might just be the first attempt at something that might become roaring back, rearing its ugly head,
re-emerge.
But essentially, the situation we find ourselves in is the same. The teams at the top want a bigger share of the pie. The 50% they were getting, they considered that to be less than they were earning, and they were probably right. But it was also keeping the other teams in the other divisions going.
The thing that's really interesting about that as well is, because you set the scene really nicely there, is that trend of sort of stamping their influence on negotiation strategies by the league and what have you basically just got exponentially more severe. It didn't slow down. Like, what I'm saying is what you just described from 83 didn't appease anyone, and it sort of,
if anything, it did the opposite.
Yeah, it sort of made them realize that they had the leverage, right? And then they certainly exercised it, because I think it's like you were saying, like pre-1986, as a result of that deal, I think clubs receiving about 25 grand a year in television rights in the mid 80s.
Sounds about right, yeah.
And then in 1986, the Football League renegotiated its TV deal. It was a 2-year deal, 6.3 million, which meant that the clubs received about 600k a year by 1988. But what's interesting about that is that coincided with like a drive for greater revenue generally, and the Division 1 clubs continuously threatening to break away, which meant that they secured an increase in the voting power as well. So like they were really, by the time like the sort of mid to late 80s came along, they were starting to demand higher fees from broadcasters and influence, stamp their authority rather on sort of commercial relations and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and the other thing that was changing in the world at that time as well, towards the late 80s and certainly into the early 90s, was cable TV. That American favourite of the 1980s was coming over the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, pay-for TV was a thing, not just your four terrestrial channels as it was back then. Yeah. You could pay and you could get more channels, and obviously one of the competitors in that market was Rupert Murdoch's BSkyB.
Yeah. So, well, this is the thing. The context of that is really interesting as well, because ITV, I mean, I know everyone's probably thinking this is some dry shit for talking about the Premier League, just talking business, but like ITV...
I did warn you at the beginning.
Yeah. ITV is... They're the main players at this point. They're like, I think in 88 they signed a deal worth about 44 million, but the top clubs took 75% of that income, because that was the top 10 teams threatening a Super League, and they literally called it a Super League. And ITV were actually pushing, like Greg Dyke, who would later become the chairman of the FA. People might be familiar with his name. He was basically like managing director of the London division of ITV, and he was like in secret negotiations with like Man United, Liverpool, Spurs, Everton and Arsenal about reigniting like this breakaway concept and stuff, and like negotiating the idea of like setting up a breakaway league of sorts. And Sky, as you say, they were going bust, mate. Like they were in major shit. And in fact, I think this is fun. So I think they had 3 options, Sky, in the early 90s, which was,
I know what you're going to say here, and this is fun.
Yeah, it was to offer its subscribers access to porn.
Always a good place to start.
Offer their subscribers access to major film, or get involved in exclusive sporting events. And they decided that porn was too problematic, which, to be fair, even from a business perspective, is probably the right call, because it's now very free.
They'd have been out of business by now.
Yeah,
might have given them a good sort of 15 years, but
and they fucked off film because they had already had loads of bad experiences negotiating with film industry and paying over the odds for films that flopped. I think I'm probably massively simplifying that business model, but
they'd also be in trouble with that nowadays as well.
Yes.
To be fair.
Yeah, with Netflix and people like that, and yeah, Amazon and just cinema generally. But yeah, anyway, what Sky did have is they had access to, they already had the rights for cricket and rugby league, and they started to assemble talent to present football coverage. And very smartly, and I think this is I actually think this is the kicker, mate. Like, and I think this is little known, is the BBC couldn't afford live games. So they were just like desperate to get match of the day and retain match of the day.
Yeah.
And so Sky entered into a deal with the BBC where if they won the rights to the Premier League, which we haven't even actually talked about how it formed yet, but if they won the rights to the Premier League, then BBC would get access to the highlights for match of the day.
Yeah.
And so they fucked over ITV in that sense. And obviously the BBC are happy as Larry because they get match of the day. Isn't that fun though?
Obviously we're sort of skipping over a few sets. We'll probably go back and talk about it. But the funny thing about this is, if you like laughing at rich, powerful men, is that Greg Dyke started this whole process and then he got absolutely screwed over at the end of it because he was the one who started it all with ITV, and then ITV ended up getting absolutely nothing.
Yeah, they got stiffed. BBC got match of the day, and Sky obviously end up with the rights to the Premier League, as everybody knows, because it's still on Sky to this day.
It is, and it's their biggest money earner by a mile.
Oh, by an absolute mile. And the rights are just astonishingly expensive now as well, and they still make a huge profit.
Well, anyone who's got a Sky Sports subscription will know why.
Yes.
As the price keeps going up and up and up.
It does. Well, so yeah, I mean, to rewind then, the negotiations themselves, it's basically, it's three guys, but 2 out of 3 are particularly influential, and I'm not just saying that to take the piss out of Tottenham. So you had Martin Edwards of Man United, and you had David Dean of Arsenal. And these two guys were like at the forefront of transforming football clubs into like major business ventures and applying basically like commercial principles and administrating clubs in a way that maximize revenue. Like, so they were kind of like pioneers really of like the sporting sector. And
and weirdly between them won all but one of the first dozen Premier League titles.
Yeah.
Funnily enough.
And David Dean's a real innovator from a biased Arsenal perspective, because he's the one who brought in Arsene Wenger and like brought in the foreign player, or at least sort of maybe didn't bring them in, because obviously I know there had been others, but really embraced the idea of like multicultural football basically to Arsenal's benefit, because you know we hadn't won. Massive
benefit, and to the viewers' benefit as well, because Arsenal played some good football.
Yeah, they did. And the standard fucking went through the roof as well with the influx of foreign players, which we'll probably get to.
Yeah.
The other guy was Irving Scholar, and he was at Spurs. And so they're the ones who entered into sort of like, or didn't enter into, they sort of instigated the secret discussions with Dyke. And that sort of started around 1990.
Yeah.
And that gained a lot of traction because obviously they basically managed to convince others that it would be advantageous to break away and set up like what is effectively now the Premier League. But they obviously couldn't do it without the FA. And so they went to the FA.
This is the real...
Yeah. Sorry, I mean, like you might know a bit more about this, mate. But they went, as far as I'm aware, they just basically went to the FA with cap in hand and was like, "We want to do this." And the FA, as you said, hated the Football League.
Yeah. So basically, the FA, who is so resistant to anything like that in the past, any sort of concentration of power in anyone else's hands, any profiteering, anything like that, so determined to be a force for football for all, well, all men anyway. At that point. Sort of the bastions of early amateurism, organisation that used equality as their excuse to keep paying players or keep players paid as little as possible for years. And they went along with it because they were in a big old rivalry with the Football League for years and years. Such things as club versus country rows. Then they produced this blueprint for the future of football in the early 1990s.
It did.
Which is a weird old document. But yeah, basically it says it tries to make the argument that a smaller top flight would be beneficial for the England team. And I don't really understand why it comes to that conclusion. But nevertheless, it basically was going to get implemented. The only thing that stopped it was Ken Bates came along, who was the chairman of Chelsea, and persuaded the FA out of it, because Chelsea at the time were a bit of a yo-yo club, and obviously 18 teams in the league would potentially screw them over as a team towards the bottom of the league at that point. The FA were just like, yep. Yeah. Go for it. But yeah, there was a guy at the FA, Graham Kelly, who was the chief executive of the FA at the time of the breakaway. He later admitted there was a huge mistake because at that point the clubs were so desperate to break away that the FA could have asked for concessions in order to do so. They could have asked for bigger redistribution of funds to the lower leagues as a result of sort of tax put upon the profits, and they probably would have accepted it. But the FA was so ready to screw over the Football League that they just said yes and didn't demand anything from it. And he said by the time they realised what a mistake they made, it was too late.
Well, yeah, because they basically handed all of the power to the teams.
All the power and all the money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because when they set it up on a basis that basically every single club would get a one club, one vote motion, and you needed a 2/3 majority to get anything through. And the FA didn't have a vote; it's a Premier League vote, so it's the clubs within the Premier League that vote on it. Yeah, and it all got signed off. I think it was December '91 that Rick Parry is appointed the chief exec, and obviously Liverpool fans would be familiar with him because he would later join Liverpool. And if you wanted an indication of the direction of travel, the chairman of the first Premier League was a guy called Sir John Quinton, who was the chairman of Barclays Bank. And I don't think you really need to know anything else other than that, do you, to know which way it was going?
Of the Barclays Premier League.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So anyway, plan was drawn up, first Premier League, 18 clubs to be created in time for the 92-93 season. But basically the big fundamental difference is the Premier League would split the money amongst all of the clubs active in just the Premier League. And that was it, really.
Yeah, I mean, it was the only change because the format didn't change. There's still 22 teams in the league, still 3-game relegated. No change to matches, no change to anything other than the TV coverage got a bit more Americanized.
Yeah.
They took their influence from Monday Night Football, which is obviously, as in Monday Night American Football, the American TV show, introduced a similar thing, Monday Night Football, with halftime shows and cheerleaders and fireworks and everything else.
Oh yeah, the first one is cringe, isn't it?
It's so cringy, yeah. And they got rid of that pretty quickly, but the coverage did improve after that, and they've had some good presenters in the time and some bad presenters as well.
Yeah, well, yes, indeed. Like all good business. I mean, we haven't even explained the context of the bidding war though, because I think this is really important because obviously said in the 80s, like, there's division of about 600k a year for the teams. So to put that into context, and also to put into context how badly Sky needed this, Sky were losing 14 million a week. When they came to the...
not the best business model.
No. And by 1991, it was still losing 1.5 million a week, and had accumulated 2 billion in debt. So they were in the shit. The bidding war ensued between primarily ITV and Sky, and I think it started at like just over 100 mil, which, divided by 20 teams is still a significant increase per team on the 600k they were getting. Was it 2 mil? Something like that? No, 5 mil. Sorry, my maths is terrible.
Yeah, although I think that was over 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah.
So it'd be about $1 million each.
Yes.
In the beginning, obviously.
Yes.
As you're about to say, it went up from there.
It ends up being, like, because let's just not bore everyone with this, it ends up being 305 million over 5 years. Yeah,
and the interesting thing about that is ITV had up their bid, and ITV bid something like £262 million for their rights. But then a certain Alan Sugar, who was Tottenham chairman, but more importantly, he was the supplier of Sky dishes. So the dishes that you used to have to put on the side of your house to get Sky
Amstrad,
TV.
Was it?
The Amstrad, yeah. So he tipped off Sky and told them to blow that offer out of the water, which Sky promptly did with their £305 million bid. Which won. And
do you know the ironic thing about all of this?
Spurs were shit.
No, that bid was... Well, yes, I mean, that's funny. But that bid was accepted on a 14-6 split with 2 abstentions, right? Arsenal, Villa, Everton, Leeds, Liverpool and United all voted in favour of the ITV deal.
That's weird. I'm guessing because they were tapped up in the first place.
Yeah. And there must have been, like, there's probably a sweetener for them there or something. But, like, given that Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United in particular have gone on to be some of the most dominant teams in the Premier League era, and Everton have never been relegated, and obviously Villa, but for a blip, have also been a mainstay. It's just very ironic.
Just not mentioning Leeds being in that list.
Yeah, no, well, like Leeds just had a bit more misfortune, didn't they? That's the only reason why I left them out, not for any other reason.
Badly managed team.
Yeah.
Screwed over by their own management.
But yeah, I just thought it was funny because they voted down the Sky deal and actually they've ended up being the biggest beneficiaries of it, arguably. But yes, Sky went from 1.5 million loss and a loss in 1992 generally as a business, a 1.5 million a week loss that is, and a financial loss for the year ending 92, to a £62 million profit in 93.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Talk about turning your fortunes around.
Yeah. I mean, for better or worse, the stranglehold they have over football now. And I mean, you can get into debates talking about the good and the bad of it and all the money that's come into the game. The most important thing to talk about in terms of the money that's come into the game is that none of it, for a very long time, it's starting to get a bit better now, but none of it went to the Football League. And interesting stat for you, by 2004, of the 72 teams who were in the Football League at the start of the 2004-2005 season, guess how many of them had been in administration or financial troubles or whatever else at that point? Out of 72 teams.
I don't know. You're just going to have to just give me the number. It's going to be high.
Half.
Whoa.
36.
That is high. That's higher than I thought it would be.
And that was 11 years after this.
Even knowing it was going to be high, I would have probably gone for a quarter of, of the teams at tops. Half is absurd.
It's absurd, yeah. It's crazy.
It is. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. There's sort of bigger gap between the sort of haves and have-nots, right? Which persists to the modern day.
It put pressure on those Football League clubs, or the Football League, to try and catch up as well, which led to that disastrous deal, again with ITV, involved screwing over the Football League, the ITV digital saga in about 2002, where they massively overpromised or overpaid for Football League highlight rights and then just simply couldn't sell enough on the back of it, so couldn't then pay the Football League, who in turn obviously couldn't pay their clubs, and clubs that had budgeted for that money found themselves going into receivership and being screwed over.
Yeah, that's mental. I mean,
vicious cycle.
And now guess who has the Football League rights?
Sky, yeah.
Yeah. You can literally watch every Football League game now. Like, it's possible.
Yeah, and they're paying good money, or relatively good money. Certainly nothing compared to what they pay in the Premier League, but
no,
it's helping.
Yeah, for sure.
Although it's not to say there aren't still Football League clubs who are struggling financially, and this week we've got a National League club potentially going out of business in Morecambe.
Yeah, seen that. Which would be a shame.
Always, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, the money is the obvious thing. I guess, like, the cool thing about it, though, is the standard. I mean, it was set up in 1992, May 1992 was when it was officially formed. First season, 92-93 season, 15th of August, 1992. We're off, we're away. The Premier League is here.
First Super Sunday game?
Who was it?
Nottingham Forest versus Liverpool was the first one. So Brian Clough's last year as Nottingham Forest manager, ill-fated last year as Nottingham Forest, went down that year to end his illustrious career.
Oh, yeah. They went down in the first year of the Prem, didn't they? That's a shame.
Brian Clough, legend.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually, it's quite interesting, this, because the first league involved the 19 highest placed teams in the first division, as well as the champions, runners-up and playoff winners of the second division. So there were 22 teams in total, and obviously there's only 20 now. We'll come on to how that came about.
Yeah.
This is what also led to the renaming of the various divisions, as you already spoke about on our last episode. So if anybody's interested in the Football League and that's history, as we keep saying, just go back and listen to that one. You get a bit more information. But yeah, the people who got screwed were Luton Town, Notts County and West Ham United. They went down into what would become the first division. They didn't take part in the inaugural Premier League season, and they were replaced by Ipswich Town, that is, Middlesbrough and Blackburn Rovers.
Oh yeah, I forgot Blackburn only just got promoted. Yeah, they got very, very good very, very quickly.
They sneaked it. But yeah, of the original 22, all the usual suspects are there, as you might imagine. But you also had Wimbledon, now in brackets MK Dons, who we don't like, boo. Both Sheffield sides, that's Wednesday and United, QPR, Oldham Athletic of all teams, Middlesbrough, Southampton, Ipswich, Coventry, and as I've said, Blackburn. An eclectic mix of teams compared to what people will be familiar with now.
Yeah, you could say that.
First Premier League goal? You'll know this. Come on, mate.
Of course I know this. Brian Deane against Manchester United. Pretty much the low point of Manchester United's season, unfortunately. Yeah. It was all got better from there.
It did. Well, and in actual fact, that allies to the next thing I was going to say, which is United won the first edition.
They did.
Actually ended a 26-year wait, though, to be crowned champions of England, to be fair to them.
Yeah, and There's one thing I actually forgot to mention in the equality I was saying before is that in 1983, it was actually 1983. This is why I had that year stuck in my head. That was when, for the first time ever, or first time for about 100 years, the FA stopped, or the Football League stopped having gate receipts shared between the home team and the away team, which it used to be either an 80-20 split or 75-25% split. I've read different things in different places. But they used to split the gate receipts for matches. That ended in 1983, again, under pressure from these top teams who had bigger stadiums.
Yeah.
And it was no coincidence from that point that the team with the biggest stadium in the land got better and better and better as the decade went on. And don't get me wrong, Alex Ferguson had a huge impact on it as well, but Manchester United were the richest club in the country in 1992, 1993, because their stadium was the biggest.
That makes a lot of sense. I did not know that. That makes perfect sense. You're always duped into thinking it's because they were really good at marketing.
I mean,
they are.
I'm sure
they are. Don't get me wrong, but like, it's a big foot up, isn't it? If the original disparator is your gate receipts.
Yeah, it's a snowball effect ultimately.
Yes, because then you have more money to invest and blah blah blah.
Exactly,
yeah.
Which means you can get good players in, and those players turn out to be good and handsome and photogenic like David Beckham, and then you become a bigger worldwide brand because of it.
Yeah.
Less so Gary Neville.
Yeah. Current format. Should we just... We need to explain how we got to where we are.
Yeah, by relegating a lot of teams.
Indeed, 4 in fact.
Don't tell me who they are, because I think I can name them.
Okay.
Let's see if I can scratch the annals of my brain.
94-95 season, Blackburn Rovers are your champs.
Ipswich is one of them.
Yes.
Leicester is definitely one of them.
Yes.
I want to say, who were the last two? Norwich?
Norwich was one of them. Well done, that's 3. Just need the 4th.
Middlesbrough were definitely promoted. Crystal Palace?
Crystal Palace did go down. How have you got 4 from 4 there? That's sensational work. And yes, you were right. Middlesbrough came up with... Can you get the bonus ball?
As in the other team to get promoted?
With Middlesbrough.
95-96.
If
no.
Oh, I was just about to laud you up there, but I'm still going to, because I think it's appropriate. Those who don't know much about Jack, and that's anyone who listens to this podcast that isn't friends with him, will not know that he has an encyclopedic knowledge of football, which is why you're able to recite those teams. Was it 20 years after the fact?
Yeah, just because I read it in 1997 or something like that.
Yeah.
I still can't remember who else got promoted.
Bolton Wanderers.
Okay, I wouldn't have
came up. So that basically meant you had your 22 teams, 4 going down, 2 coming up, 20 clubs. Bob's your uncle. 95, 96. We're away. Current format. 51 teams have played in the Premier League since its formation. Do you want to have a hazard a guess of where they all are now? Not every single team, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to test that encyclopedic knowledge to that extent. But
20 of the teams have played in the Premier League are still in the Premier League.
Well done.
That's a good start.
Good start.
Yeah. So obviously Wimbledon no longer exist, or exist as MK Dons, depending on your opinion, but they no longer exist.
Yeah.
Swindon have been in there.
Yes.
They are, they're League 1 now, League 2?
League 2, along with Oldham. They're the 3.
Oldham, yeah.
They're the 3 that are either bust or in League 2. That's as low as they go, though.
Wigan are League 1.
So you got, how many teams do you think are in League 1, roughly?
Bolton, are they in League 1 now?
Yes, they are. Haven't been promoted, I don't think. You can't name them all.
Birmingham just got promoted.
Promoted, yeah.
So they're in the Championship. I'm not going to name them all.
So there's 10 in League 1, which means there's 19 in the Championship, which out of a league of 24 shows you how competitive the Championship is, which is what we were talking about before.
Luton being one of them, obviously, in League 1.
In League 1, yeah. It does also show, though, that if out of the 51 teams that have played in the league, 49 of them are in the top 2 divisions. What an advantage having that money is.
Indeed. And of them, how many have won it? Not many.
Not many at all. Like, barely any, in fact. Who have won it? That's a good transition. Manchester United. They have.
Do you want me just to go through every year?
Well, no, I was going to say Manchester United have won the most. They've got 13.
Yeah.
City, second, with 8. Manchester City. Chelsea have got 5. Arsenal have got 3. Liverpool 2.
Yeah.
And then there's only 2 others, isn't there?
Yeah, Leicester and Blackburn.
Leicester and Blackburn, yeah. 7 teams have won it.
Leicester won the Premier League.
Do you remember when Leicester won the Premier League?
Do you remember when Leicester won the Premier League?
Shall I tell that story? Because I know a bit about this.
I think that would be a good story to tell. You can tell me it as if you're telling me it for the first time, because I don't believe you. I don't believe that Leicester won the Premier League.
God, Leicester City won the Premier League. Oh, right, so I want to say it all started when then manager Nigel Pearson's son, who was playing for the team, racially abused a Thai prostitute during an orgy on Leicester's pre-season tour of Thailand. But that's actually not quite where it started, although it did play a very significant role. So we'll come back to that.
I just had to cover my mouth because I was laughing so much.
We will come back to that.
I knew what you were going to say before you said it.
That is one of the weirdest sliding doors butterfly moment effects in sporting history, and it didn't even start there. Right. So where did it actually start? Jesus. Well, in 2008-2009, Leicester were in League One of all places. They'd just been relegated from the Championship. And thankfully for them, they were quickly promoted back to the Championship by winning League One in 2009-2010. And then the reason that's significant is because in August 2010, so their return to the Championship season, the Asia Football Investments Consortium, including Vichai Rakrashishkorn, I don't know how you pronounce his name. Everyone knows who Vichai is, though. He's the guy who died in the helicopter crash. He purchased Leicester, and that was obviously a buyout. He was a wealthy man, and he consolidated their position in the league, and obviously that financing helped. And 2012-2013, they made the playoffs, finishing 6th. Now, that playoffs is also quite spectacular because they lost in the playoffs to Watford in the semis in one of the greatest playoff semi-final ties to ever be played.
Yes.
They were 1-0 up.
You'll have heard a clip from that match in the intro of last week's episode.
Yeah. Dini! That one.
Incredible.
So, 1-0 up from the first leg. Sorry, go on. What are you going to say?
I was just going to say, you explain a bit. If you haven't seen this highlight, immediately just pause this if you can, or as soon as you finish your drive or whatever, watch this highlight. Just type in Troy Deeney.
Yeah. It's crazy. So Leicester are 1-0 up from the first leg, and it was 1-1 in the second leg, so they were 2-1 up on aggregate. 65th minute, Watford take the lead, 2-1 on the day, 2-2 on aggregate, and, fine. It's close, it's tight, this can happen, 1 goal in it, home and away, no problem. 95th minute of injury time, Leicester get a penalty. Anthony Knockaert's taking it. If he scores, Leicester are going to the final. He took it, Almunia saved again, as it says on the commentary. And then in literally a barely believable sequence of events, Watford just boot the ball downfield and break on the clearance. It's chipped to the back post, nodded back down into the centre on the penalty spot area. Troy Deeney arriving late, having sprinted the entire field, just smashes it in. Cue pandemonium, heartbreak for Leicester. Watford go through to the final, and I think they may have went up actually that year.
They lost.
Did they lose the final? Who did they lose to? Do you remember?
Oh, now you put me on the spot.
It doesn't matter. It's not part of this story.
Don't remember.
It doesn't matter. No one gives a shit. We're here to talk about Leicester. So Leicester then get promoted the following season, the end of the 2013-2014 season. Bearing in mind, Jack, just to reframe the context, promoted to the Premier League in 2013-2014. They won the league in 2015-2016. So what happens in the 2014-2015 season? Well, they get battered, basically.
Yeah.
And they're marooned at the bottom of the table for 4.5 months. Late September and the end of December, they don't win a game. They go 13 without a win.
Sounds like this season.
They're bottom of the league at Christmas. They're god awful. But then in the run-in, they managed to put together 7 wins from their last 9 fixtures to survive. To put that into context, they only won 11 all year, and they won 7 of them in the last 9. Bizarrely, they actually finished 14th, but it was only 6 points above the relegation zone, and I think they only secured their safety either on the penultimate or the final day. The only team to have beaten them in the run-in as well was Chelsea, who went on to win the league. And so basically they pull off one of the great escapes to stay in the league, having been promoted the year before.
To say the least, yeah.
Yeah, it's really great. One of 3 teams to survive being bottom at Christmas. If you're bottom at Christmas, you're normally fucked. Anyway, Now we're back at the point where I started. We're on the Thai pre-season tour. Basically, because Leicester are owned by the Thai consortium, they go to Thailand on pre-season. And whilst out in Thailand, Nigel Pearson's son, who was also playing for Leicester at the time, is filmed racially abusing a Thai prostitute whilst having an orgy out in Thailand. That gets into the media. His contract...
I wouldn't recommend that video.
No, don't need to see it. It's pretty obvious what happened. His contract gets terminated by Leicester, which is unsurprising. That happens on the 17th of June, 2015. On the 30th of June, 2015, Nigel Pearson is sacked as the manager, with the club stating that the working relationship between Nigel and the board was no longer viable. I suspect that's because Nigel Pearson was taking some bizarre stance in defence of his son. Who cares?
Yes. Yes.
He gets sacked as well.
It would be a tough position to take that, but fair play for him for trying.
Yeah.
You know.
You got to, I guess, it's his son. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. But nonetheless, you can't have expected much. Didn't go into that negotiation with much leverage.
I think that qualifies as gross misconduct, I would say.
Yeah. I think that's right. So what does that mean? That means Leicester are managerless after surviving by the skin of their teeth the season before. Who could they possibly appoint? Well, the 13th of July 2015, they announced Claudio Ranieri as the club's new manager on a 3-year contract, and that decision was met with derision, basically. But cue dilly ding dilly dong, baby.
There's very few people in this world who I can just hear the sound of their name and it makes me smile every time. Claudio Ranieri is one of them.
Warms the heart, doesn't it?
It does.
The season starts and Claudio is an eccentric guy. So on the opening day, he plays Kasabian in the changing room to inspire the team. Kasabian being from Leicester, a rock band from Leicester. They don't keep a clean sheet until the 10th game of the season. And when they do, Ranieri takes them all out for pizza and champagne as a celebration. They are somehow top at Christmas because they've scored in their first 17 games. And long story short, guys, they maintain it. They pull it off. Vardy goes on one of the all-time scoring streaks. They hang on for dear life. They win the Premier League with one of the lowest totals ever. But who gives a shit? Everyone else was rubbish that year.
Especially Spurs, who managed to come third in a 2-horse race.
Yeah. But yeah, just one of the great stories. And in a lovely twist of fate, Leicester played Chelsea away on the final day of the season. At the time, that was the only other club that Claudio Ranieri had managed in England, because he was the first manager of Chelsea under the Abramovich era. It was their first league title in their 132-year history. It's Ranieri's only top-flight title to date. They were given, everyone knows, they were given odds of 5,000 to 1. And they were the first non-Big Six champions since Blackburn in 94-95. But Leicester won the Premier League. That is insane.
It's incredible. It's one of those, I don't think money necessarily had a part to play in it, because obviously you're talking Riyad Mahrez turned into an absolute world beater when they bought him for less than £1 million.
N'Golo Kante.
Yeah. If we talk about who the greatest Premier League players of all time or the greatest Premier League team, N'Golo Kante is going to get a mention because he's incredible at what he does. And they picked them up for nothing and somehow got this team playing this really... I really like counter-attacking football. And they mastered... Because as long as it's attacking, counter-attacking football and not negative, like England sometimes played, as long as you're not sitting too deep. If you're being aggressive, trying to win the ball back and then springing quickly, and they were just doing it so well. Vardy was unstoppable. They were just good to watch. And in the meantime, all the other teams in the league who might reasonably be expected to put up a challenge, such as Chelsea, came 10th, I think, that season. Such as Manchester City, who had a bad year, such as Manchester United, who had a bad season, Tottenham and Arsenal. Arsenal had a good finish to the season.
Should have. We were the two that should have.
Tottenham fell away. They were the only one who was really in the title race. Liverpool came 8th, I think, that season. And just no one else wanted to win it, and Leicester were never going to lose it. It
was crazy. They won the league with 81 points. They drew 12 games, lost 3.
By 11 points. Or 10 points, I think.
10 points over Arsenal.
Arsenal had 71.
Yeah, we had 71. But I guess the real question is how much did they get Danny Drinkwater for? Because he's a Premier League winner.
That's crazy. He was great that season.
He was, alongside N'Golo Kante.
He was awful for the remainder of his career.
Yeah.
There's a few of the players in that team who...
Wes Morgan.
Yeah, Wes Morgan, Jesus. But they were brilliant.
They were.
Wes Morgan, a Premier League winning captain. Incredible.
Yeah, crazy. I'm just having a quick look at their results, actually. They got battered by us 5-2. Lost 2 of their games that they lost out of the 3 were to Arsenal. They lost 2-1 to Arsenal and 5-2. Everybody else they either drew and beat. I'm just trying to see if I can see who else they might have lost to. They had a hell of a season. They lost to Palace as well.
That was it then. They only lost 3 games all season.
Or did they? No, sorry. They lost to Liverpool. Sorry. Not Palace. They beat Palace 1-0.
Definitely beat us once. Vardy scored a screamer.
They did actually score a screamer against you as well, didn't he? At their place at the King Power.
Newcastle and Aston Villa both relegated that season.
Yeah, wild season. Very wild. Going down with Norwich. Bournemouth staying up. But yeah.
Yeah, Villa getting 17 points. Crazy.
Southampton qualified for the Europa League that year.
Yeah, finished above Liverpool.
Quite remarkable.
And West Ham. A season never to be repeated, most likely. But who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, literally who knows?
There's only one team. I had to check the Premier League odds before this, just out of curiosity. There's only one team rated at 5,000 to 1 for the title. That is Leeds United. So put your bets on, boys and girls.
Yeah, that's worth a little quid or two.
Interesting fact about the odds. Manchester United are more likely, according to the bookmakers, to get relegated this season than they are to win the league. I wonder when the last time that happened was.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Who are the odds-on favourite?
25 to 1 to get relegated and 40 to 1 to win the league. Liverpool are favourites, but not odds-on. Like Liverpool, Arsenal and City are all pretty close to one another, like 5 to 2 to 9 to 2, that kind of spread. And then Chelsea are like 10 to 1.
Nice. I mean, because we've spoken quite a lot about who's favourites this year and Leicester winning the Premier League, which is astonishing that even happened.
Which they're not going to do this year.
No, on account of not being in the division.
On account of not being in it.
Yeah. Then let me pose this question to you. If I asked you who are the best 5 teams to compete in the Prem, where would you put your money?
Do I have to put them in order?
I mean, if you can. I know who my number 1 is, but I'm biased.
I know who your number 1 is too.
I know who my number 2 is. Shall I put Leicester at 2.
But do you mean favourite or best?
Yeah, like I've definitely merged those two things, so you can order it how you like. But I put Leicester number 2
because Leicester wouldn't be in my top 5 for best.
No, they're not. They're not best, but I just put it in there because it's an actual fucking miracle.
Yeah, the best teams ever to. I'd say the 5 best teams are probably City, that 100-point season. They're incredible. Or even pick any of the other seasons around there.
Yeah.
Liverpool 2020 team was incredible. Although Liverpool last season were also very good, even if the points tally doesn't quite add up. Or even the Liverpool team that didn't win the league the year before, 2019.
Yeah.
Arsenal, obviously the unbeaten team, the Invincibles. I would say Manchester United 2008 team is possibly the best all-round team I've seen in the Premier League.
Oh, really? Nice. I had a United team.
That was Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez, ridiculously good on the counter-attack. That lot. That was Rooney, peak Rooney, and obviously Ronaldo just before he went to Real Madrid. And Vidic, centre-back, and crazy good team.
I ordered it like this, because we actually ended up for pretty much the same. So I had Liverpool 19-20 in 5th. Most wins, earliest victory ever. 7 games before the end of the season.
Easy.
I agree with you completely. Like, you were sensational that year. And then I had put City from 2020 to 2024 in there over the 100 points team, the 4 in a row team basically, because you got 92 and 97 points in that window and came second twice, and City won 4 in a row, which hasn't been done, which is insane.
I mean, there's I know it means nothing, and I know this is very much the kind of thing that people get the piss taken out of them on the internet for, but there's a 38 match period over the 2019 and 2020 season that Liverpool didn't lose a game.
Yeah.
And I think they dropped 2 points. I think they'd drawn 1 game in that period or something. And I know that means nothing, but it's insane how good that Liverpool team was. And the fact they didn't win the league in 2018, 2019 on 97 points is just ridiculous. When, as we mentioned, Leicester won it on 81 and deserved to, but there you go.
Well, yeah, I mean, you play within the rules of the game. Everyone appreciates that. But, like, I do think that when people
interesting way of putting it when you're talking about Man City.
No, sure. What I mean is you play a 38-game season and you know that's the parameters for determining the victor. But I do think that people that overlook those sorts of things are just short-sighted and idiots, because football ultimately is about, having, enjoying the game as a supporter, that is. As a player and as a manager and a coach, it's obviously about winning because you're professionals. But, it does crack me up when supporters, have a go at other supporters, they have in some way contributed to or are partly responsible in any kind of meaningful sense for the success of, their team. And so, when people take joy from the fact that their team is good but isn't winning stuff, and people, take the piss out of that, I think that is just stupid and pathetic, really. Let people enjoy it.
Generally.
You can be proud of your team's achievements even though they weren't the winners. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, obviously if people are putting it on a pedestal that suggests that it's equivalent to a league title, then, maybe you can take them down a peg or two in those circumstances.
Got one league title out of it.
It's all relative, isn't it? That's the point. And only
there
one
are stupider
team can
things you can say on the internet.
Yeah. Only one team can win every single year. And if one of those teams is backed by a oil state and has a bottomless pit of money and can therefore hire the best manager in the world and basically go out and purchase all the best players in the world and a disproportionate number of them compared to their rivals so they can stack the bench as well, why are you taking the piss out of the sides that compete with that? It doesn't make sense to me. But, no. Each to their own. I guess it's Schadenfreude, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yes, I have number one is the boys, mate. Invincibles.
I know.
Fucking Invincibles. Just because, come on. You can't win a season without losing a game and people say that you weren't the best that there's ever been. That's stupid.
Don't read what I'm saying as criticising Arsenal in any way when I say I think there were a couple of teams in Premier League history who were better than Arsenal all round, but none of them went the whole season unbeaten. And none of them, and this is a really important point, I never turned on Match of the Day excited to watch any of those other teams as much as I was Arsenal at that time. Arsenal were just so good to watch from 2000 to 2005 kind of period. Thierry Henry particularly, obviously. The player I love the most in Premier League history, probably. Brilliant footballer, brilliant to watch. And it feels like, I know this is probably compacted memories, probably. Me compacting the memories of dozens and dozens of times I watched Match of the Day, but it felt like something happened every week because of him and because of that team. Yeah, brilliant.
I actually think, I was going to talk. I actually want to talk to us about some of the players. You probably take us in that direction quite nicely. But the reason I put Arsenal number one as well is I agree with you. Some of the Mourinho Chelsea teams and some of the Ferguson teams and these City teams recently, you can make a case that if they played each other, if there was a world in which they could play each other. Maybe Arsenal don't win, I don't know. But the one thing I would say about that Invincibles team is they underachieved. That Invincibles team should have won the treble. They lost to Chelsea in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and that was the year that Porto won it with the Mourinho's title when they beat Monaco in the final. Arsenal would have played Monaco in the semis because that's who Chelsea got knocked out by. And they lost to United in the semi-finals of the FA Cup that year, 1-0, in one of the most one-sided defeats of all time. And I know United fans will quite rightly say, yeah, but do you remember when you won the FA Cup in 2005 and you were absolutely dog shit and we got dicked and you beat us on penalties? And you were absolutely right. But United then beat Millwall in the FA Cup final the year that Arsenal went invincible. So, get results in those two games.
You drew too many games as well.
Yeah,
I know it's a stupid thing to say when you went the season unbeaten.
Yeah,
but
drew 12 games.
You could have put away a few more teams. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. All that really matters is you won the title. A secondary factor to that is you won Invincible, which no one has done since. And only one team, as we mentioned last week, has done before.
Yeah, and that's not
that
serious.
Was a long time ago.
That's not serious.
115 years earlier.
Yeah. Preston North End. Players, though, mate, you spoke about the King. I mean, for me, can I, if anybody who listens, if anyone happens across this podcast and listens to it, who is, 20 years old, or maybe under 30 even, you don't understand. You're going to say things like Ronaldo. You might even say, Haaland or KDB. You're wrong, I'm afraid. You just weren't there. Thierry Henry is easily the best player to have ever played in the Premier League.
Thierry Henry is easily the best player to have ever played in the Premier League. I'm just agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about easily, but he is.
Do you want me to reel off some numbers here? Like it's insane.
Could I stop you if I wanted to?
He's obviously in the top 10 all-time goal scorers in Prem, but of those top 10, he's got the highest goals to game ratio of all time. In terms of penalties, he's second only to Letizia in terms of conversions. He missed 2 in the Premier League. He's also their third highest on free kicks with the 5th best ratio. And the reason that you're probably thinking, you're just fucking drilling into the detail. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means he does it all, Jack. That's what I'm trying to say here. Bangs them in an open play, mugs people off, takes a pen, hits a free kick, like assists.
Made Jamie Carragher look like an idiot on a few occasions.
God, he was ridiculous. He was playing in an era where it was like Ferdinand, John Terry, like you say, Carragher, like these kind of guys playing at centre-back. And he scored at least 20 goals 5 years in a row. Most consecutive seasons scoring at least 20 goals, 5 in a row. Most Premier League assists in a season, joint with KDB on 20. Only player to score both 20 goals and get 20 assists in a season. Like 2 times Player of the Season award, joint most. 4-time Golden Boot winner, joint most. 2 Prems, 3 FA Cups, a double. Took Arsenal to their only 2 their only Champions League final and a UEFA Cup final. All-time top goal scorer, Ballon d'Or runner-up in 2003, which is a travesty, by the way, an actual travesty.
Was that Nedved?
Yeah, I think it was, yeah. Which,
It was a good player, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, dumped in the quarters a couple of years later by the King and Cesc. Don't want to hear it.
I think this is all. I think this is all good, and I think this is all important that you're talking about these stats. I don't think any of it matters compared to actually watch him play.
Yeah,
like football is the beautiful game, and it's a beautiful game because of people like Thierry Henry. There's been no one since, and in my eyes, no one before. Certainly in England, in English football, you can argue for Zinedine Zidane in that context at around the same time, and bear in mind they were international teammates and they won the World Cup together, albeit that was at the start of Henry's career and he became a more important figure for France later. But the way he played the game, the goals he was scoring, and the versatility he had in terms of scoring those goals. He scored free kicks, he scored pile drivers from far out, and then there's a classic, slipped in down the left-hand side, open up your body and curl it into the far corner, which is just a thing of absolute beauty looking back. He could just do it all. The way he did it with this Gallic swagger and just such control over what he was doing, just such clear understanding that he was good and this is how he's going to express himself. He didn't go out and chat. He didn't say, "Oh, I'm the best," and talk himself up that way. He just showed it on the pitch, and you could just tell he was just a player with such a ludicrous amount of self-confidence. I know this isn't a Premier League highlight, but that time he takes it to the corner against Real Madrid, I've never seen a clip where a player is so in control of the situation.
Who's he hop over? Is it Ramos who tries to cut him in half and he just literally just hops over him?
Would it be Ramos? Bloody hell, Ramos was playing a while if it was Ramos, but whoever it was.
I think it's Ramos.
Whoever it was, it doesn't matter.
It might have been a baby Ramos. I might be getting ahead of myself, but that's all in that game as well. He scores a ridiculous goal, like where he just bounces off Fat Ronaldo and then gasses Guti, goes round.
Probably literally bounces off, yeah.
Yeah, gasses Guti, goes round centre half, can't remember who it is, and smashes it across his body left footed into the bottom corner, 1-0 at the bow. Thanks.
If it was 2005, 2006, it might have been Ramos actually, because they got him in 2005. Bloody hell, he's been playing a long time.
Yeah.
Still going.
Yeah, the King, mate. The King. Someone asked me the other day at work, they asked me who the best player was in Premier League history, and they were more senior than I, and they proceeded to try and suggest something, others, and I just said, I'm sorry.
Who were they suggesting?
The usual suspects, but I just said Thierry Henry is the best player to ever play in the Premier League, and I won't hear anything else, I'm afraid.
This is it's the least surprising thing ever, because I know you, and anyone who's listened to this podcast for more than 5 minutes will also not be surprised by this, but I do love how you introduce this as, let's discuss the best players in Premier League history, and we've just spent the last 10 minutes talking about just Thierry Henry.
Yeah, okay.
I propose.
Who else?
I propose between us we assemble a best team ever in the Premier League.
All right.
I think we can do that.
Yeah, I think we can do that. Where are we going? Back to front?
Oh, the problem is here, you're going to set me off as well. Because we're going to go goalkeeper, and I'm going to be like, tell me, Ben, why is there a debate who the best goalkeeper in the Premier League is? Why is that a thing? Why is everyone blind to the fact that the best goalkeeper in the Premier League since he joined 7 years ago has been absolutely clear and obvious to us? You know, I'm
Alisson,
a guy who likes to be objective. I like to check my bias and leave it at the door. But it's Alisson. It's been Alisson. It always is Alisson, and he's so far above his peers that I don't understand why this is a question. Don't get me wrong. There's other good keepers, and there's keepers who have had fantastic seasons in that time. Obviously, De Gea was brilliant for a while and then terrible for a while. Mm-hmm. Raya's been good recently.
Edwin van der Sar.
Ederson was pretty good throughout. Van der Sar further back. Oh, going further back beyond that. Just like the last 7 years.
Schmeichel and
really
Cech.
Talking about.
Schmeichel and Cech.
Schmeichel and Cech. For the entire debate, I think it's a three-horse race. I think it's Schmeichel, Cech, and Alisson.
Yeah.
I would narrow it down to Schmeichel and Alisson because of their goal-scoring feats. Because Per Cech never scored, which, puts him out the running in this case.
Yeah.
I could flip a coin. Pierre Schmeichel was unbelievably good in a one-on-one situation, making himself big.
Alisson's a more modern keeper, though. He's a more modern keeper.
Alisson in one-on-one situations is the best keeper I've ever seen in my life. And his shot stopping's good. His kicking and distribution is good. He's such a leader in that team. He allows Liverpool to play the way they do because they can play over high line, because they have absolute faith in him, either coming off his line or in a one-on-one situation. Liverpool are very lucky that Kevin Kelleher is, or has been, as good as he has when Alisson's been injured. But the team changes when he's in the team.
Yeah.
He has so much aura about him. I'm dreading the day he leaves. These great Liverpool teams of the past 7 or 8 years,
built on him and Van Dijk,
to me, have had 3 world-class players.
Yeah.
3 world-class players in that team. Those two, obviously. And Mo Salah.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, Alisson in goal. Done. Left back. It's easy.
I'd be happy with Schmeichel. I should say that. He was very good too.
Alisson in goal. Schmeichel on the bench. Left back.
Ashley Cole, obviously.
Yes, it is Ashley Cole. Fuck's sake, fucking Cashley. Can I just say
he's the best defensive left back I've ever seen in my life.
He's absurdly good. Can I just say though, the reason he's a is
I think that's the first time we've used that word on this show. I'm not sure we have to give a special explicit tag now. But yes, it had to come with Ashley Cole. That's fair.
It's because I don't actually think his move objectively to Chelsea was that successful.
He won a lot of FA Cups.
He won 2 titles at Arsenal. He won 1 at Chelsea. He won 3 FA Cups at Arsenal from 4 finals. And then he won 4 FA Cups at Chelsea. So it's effectively the same number of finals. And the kicker is, and maybe this justifies it for him, is that he won the Champions League at Chelsea. But he also he also made the Champions League final at Arsenal, and he just fucking mugged us off, mate, for money. Like, he's an invincible. He could have been a legend, and it's like, what did you do that for? You just went and played Chelsea for more money and won the same stuff that you'd already won. Great, like
been nearly 20 years, mate.
Good for you. Good for you, mate. I hope you're happy.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, right back. Go on.
And then the thing about right back is, I think we're only putting a right back in this team because we have to put a right back in this team.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a right back in Premier League history who's in the best 20 players in the league. Obviously,
we could
Gary Neville,
play
Kyle Walker, Trent.
We could play wing backs, but if we did, we'd be sacrificing him in the midfield because we'd have to pick an extra centre half.
I wouldn't put Cole in as a wing back anyway.
Yeah. So
he's not good enough attacking.
Is it Gary Neville? It probably is, isn't it?
If you're going to pick, it's either him or Kyle Walker. I mean, Trent's obviously technically the best right back in Premier League history, but Andy won a couple of titles, and I hope I'm checking my bias at the door now. He's no longer a Liverpool player. But
yeah,
Kyle Walker or Gary Neville or Ivanovic, maybe.
No.
I don't know.
I think
probably
it's
a bit too much for a pull. I think Gary Neville.
I think it's probably Gary
I'm
Neville.
happy with that.
Yeah.
Can we have Gary Neville in to represent the class of 92 a little bit, so we don't have to then put Scholes in potentially? Although I like Scholes.
Yeah, but they're not gonna make it though, are they?
Probably not. No. Anyway,
like, they're all really good, and everyone loves to talk about them, but they're not getting in this team. There's way better players. Centre halves,
centre backs.
Yeah, I mean, where do you begin here? John Terry's got to go in, unfortunately. I think
John Terry. If you put John Terry alongside someone who's got a bit of pace. Not that John Terry was slow, but relatively speaking, compared to a Rio Ferdinand or a Sol Campbell or a Virgil van Dijk, he obviously was lacking a bit, but he's just a leader, and he's unbeatable in the air.
He's mate, 5 Prem titles, 5 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, a Champions League, Europa League, 770 appearances in all comps as and captain, obviously. The thing, though, is that in the...
little asterisks on some of those Champions Leagues and stuff, but
yeah,
because he wasn't playing.
Yeah, sure. But, like, you know, you can say that about Roy Keane, and I think that would be unfair.
That would be very unfair on Roy Keane, and we're probably about to talk about Roy Keane, so...
Yeah. So, like, I think the kicker for Terry, though, is... He was a mainstay in the oligarch era. He survived the super wealth. And if he wasn't amazing, Chelsea would have just bought someone better.
Yeah.
So like, I hate him, but I think he has to go in.
I don't disagree. And I think I'd have him or Vidic, sort of leader.
Terry, though. Terry's got the longevity.
Big, strong centre-back type. But I'd have Terry. For the other one...
Yeah. Ferdinand,
Sol,
Van
Rio,
Dijk. Yeah.
Van Dijk. Probably one of those 3.
Yeah. Who do you fancy?
Company.
Oh, Vincent. That's a shout. He was really good.
I might consider him more for the... I mean, I know we've sort of standardised him for the leader, big boy role, and he wasn't slow, obviously.
No.
But I think maybe Rio is the best out of them.
Probably those 2, actually. I mean, they were unreal, weren't they, together as well? So...
And it sucks that we're picking these 2, and we've got Gary Neville at right back, and we've got Ashley Cole at left back.
Oh,
and England never bloody won anything in this time.
Disgrace.
Incredible players.
Yeah.
4-3-3, defensive midfielder?
Yes. Or yeah, so like basically 5-1-3-3. Doesn't matter.
Whichever you want to call it, yeah.
Yeah. Defensive mid.
1 of 3, probably, I would say. It's either Roy Keane or N'Golo Kante or Rodri.
It's not Rodri. Can't have that. Not yet.
He's won 4 titles.
Yeah. No,
in 5 years.
But like that's not the same.
Technically he was injured for one of them.
Yeah. Like.
Oh no, so he wasn't injured for one of them. He was injured for the season. They were shit this year. Yeah. So it's 4 titles in 6 years.
Yeah. He's unreal, Rodri. Don't get me wrong, but like the difference is, can I make a case against Rodri? Not because I don't think he's a wonderful player, but Roy Keane was the captain of his side. He won 7 Prems. It was a gun United team under Ferguson. 4 FA Cups, 480 appearances, a treble, which I know Rodri's got, right? But like he did that in a United side. He was bought from Forest, and he did that in a United side that was like, you know, had won the league or what have you once, I think, before he joined. But like, we're not dominant until he came in and formed a big part of that unit and led it. And N'Golo Kante did it with Leicester and then went to Chelsea and did it again. And I feel like Rodri's just surrounded by superstars, which obviously complement his world-class talent. But I just think it's different. It's not as good.
Yeah. I think, it comes down to who do you think was the better player versus who do you think was the most impactful on the Premier League history as a whole. The latter is probably Roy Keane. The former is probably Kante. Kante is the best defensive midfielder in those 2 seasons.
Yeah.
He was so important. Neither of those teams would have won the title if he wasn't playing in their midfield. I don't think.
Yeah. I just don't think that you can not pick Roy Keane's leadership.
No, I think it's Roy Keane.
Yeah.
Picking captain from this team is going to be very difficult.
2 other midfielders?
2 from 4, I think.
I've got one which I think I just has to go in, even though I've just made a case against...
Kevin De Bruyne.
Yes, De Bruyne goes in, I think.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable.
With Vieira, Gerrard or Lampard, probably in the other one, unless I'm forgetting anyone.
Oh, God, that's really hard.
And again, checking my bias, I still think it's Steven Gerrard. I mean, he's the best player of the 3.
Gerrard's the best all-round player. Lampard's goal scoring was stupid.
Yes. Yeah, Lampard's the best goal-scoring midfielder in Premier League history in terms of getting himself into the box.
Vieira and Keane would be formidable, though.
Vieira is class. If you're going for a double pivot, imagine that as a double pivot. I can pivot to a double pivot if you'd rather.
No,
just get rid of Gerrard, stick them as a double pivot.
I think Gerrard, because I think he's just a better all-round player. And the longevity. He played in the league for longer than Vieira. Lampard obviously pushes him close.
I think...
But we don't need Lampard's goals in this team, because our front 3 is going to be disgusting.
You don't, but then do you need a lot of Gerrard's skills as well, you could argue? Do you need Gerrard's passing ability when you've got Kevin De Bruyne next to him? But then again, you can never have too many good passes in your team.
No, and also Gerrard's he's gonna get about the place, and
he's dynamic as well. Yeah.
And he's a goal threat. He'll be the box to box. KDB can float, and Keane's gonna just boot people in the air,
which is important.
Yeah, and distribute. I don't want to.
This team's taken on the all-time La Liga team. Then it's important. You want to be booting them.
And also Roy Keane is like, let's not be disparaging about the man's talent. He was a very good footballer.
Oh, he's a brilliant footballer.
So, yeah, I think that's the three. Just on balance. Although people would, understandably make cases for the other two names. Well, front three, go on then. On the right, Mo. On the left, Thierry.
Yeah, and up front, Alan Shearer, probably.
Alan Shearer, yeah.
You'd say is the top scorer, but equally, have we screwed over Wayne Rooney by not putting a 10 in?
Yeah, Rooney's on the bench.
Would he?
That's fine. No problem.
Rooney on the bench, yes.
Yeah, it's no problem.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Rooney and Lampard
on the bench as well?
Yeah.
Who else? Aguero.
Probably Vieira will be on the bench. Van Dijk probably be on the bench. Or Sol. I think...
Whoever we didn't put in out of Alisson and Schmeichel.
We put in Alisson. Schmeichel's on the bench. Oh, God. Like Mo Salah, though, like... I was looking at his records. He's so good.
I think if we'd have had this debate a year ago, I might have thought about that right wing position for a second. But Mo Salah, I can't put into words how it's the strangest season I've ever seen anyone have in the Premier League. Up to, if you ignore the last couple of months where Liverpool were basically on holiday for the entirety of May, so can ignore that. But even April, he was getting a bit tired. But it's not like he ever hit a 10, but he was always an 8 or a 9. Yeah. Like he'd score a goal, 2 goals, an assist, 2 assists, a goal and an assist or something like that.
This is it.
And contribute throughout. He was just always doing something. He was just doing bits constantly.
He's the player with the most Premier League seasons with 10 goal involvements or 10 assists in the competition's history, or 10 or more. I mean, 6 times he's got more than 10 goals and assists in a season. He's got the most goal involvements in a single season, 47, which is insane.
Yeah.
Joint most golden boots with Henry. Joint most footballers' writers awards, 3, which I think is also with Henry. 5th on the all-time goals list.
It's a no-brainer.
He's 10th on the all-time assists list. Like, 2 Prems?
Yeah, I would genuinely say to anyone questioning this, if you're hearing this and thinking, really? Over Ronaldo or over someone else? Just think for a second.
He's way ahead.
Ronaldo is the best player to have ever played in the Premier League, but in terms of the entirety of his career and the peak of his ability. But that peak of his ability didn't happen while he was in the Premier League.
That's the thing.
It happened after he left and went to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
In the Premier League, he was good for a couple of seasons, and he
had one remarkable season.
Brilliant for a couple of seasons, and he was good for a couple of 31 goal brilliant season.
Yeah.
A couple of really good seasons, a few when he was young and developing and doing too many step-overs and getting kicked too much. But, we can all go through that. Mo went through that, obviously, at the beginning of his career as well.
Yeah.
Probably less so on the step-over front, but he struggled with Chelsea. But I think just really think. If you're questioning that, not just for Ronaldo, but for anyone else, just really think about how good Mo Salah has been consistently year on year, on year on year.
Yeah, he walks in, mate. You have to be blind to it.
Alan Shearer.
Willfully blind to it, and Shearer just because he's a goal machine, right?
Yeah, I mean, imagine Shearer getting diagonal balls from Kevin De Bruyne at that back post. He's unstoppable.
Yeah, exactly. And then holding it up for Henry and Mo.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh,
that would be unbelievable. Alan Shearer is also a Premier League winner, so let's not forget that.
Yeah. Blackburn, 94-95.
Yeah. And
incredible stuff.
He could have had more. He went to Newcastle because he's a Newcastle fan. Like, he could have had more.
If there had been a Twitter of the day with a Fabrizio Romano of the day, it had been signed off and done. Like, everyone was like, he is going to Manchester United. Had he gone to Manchester United, he'd have had 5-6 more titles, probably.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He went to Newcastle and he nearly won the title there and then got relegated in the end there as player manager. Was he player manager? He was, wasn't he? Oh, no. He retired, didn't he? And then came back 2 years later as manager. Then they got relegated. Mm-hmm. But even so, don't care. He's a pundit. He's not a manager. But as a player, it's hard to point out just how good he was as well. Like, obviously, it was the early days of the Premier League. I've really got to point this out.
He's like Harry Kane on steroids.
Yeah. So he retired really young from playing for England.
Yeah.
This is another thing.
29?
It was 30 years old.
30.
29, 30, wherever he was. He retired from playing for England. He scored 30 goals in like 63 games for England. Pretty good. He scored obviously 260 Premier League goals. 260? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 260.
A lot. Yeah. Which the only person who ever had a chance of threatening that since has been Harry Kane. Yeah. Obviously, unless he comes back pretty pronto, that's not going to happen. Harry Kane would probably get, you'd argue if you're going to get a like-for-like replacement on the bench, it would be Harry Kane. He was brilliant in the Premier League for a great number of seasons.
Ridiculous. Carried Spurs with Son's help.
Shearer 94-95. Shearer and Sutton, not Chris Sutton, as much as a prick as he's turned into be as a pundit.
Yeah,
he was great too. And those two together, Shearer had pace and power. His right boot was unbeatable. He's just smashed in his penalties. Oh, his penalties.
Yeah.
It's aspirational. That's how you want to take a penalty kick. A bit like Chloe Kelly.
Yes.
Smash it into the top corner.
Yeah, just bins. No problem.
Absolutely smashed it.
I know we're diverging slightly, but obviously the Lioness is one, which is boss. Absolutely incredible scenes. Pulling pants left, right and centre by not even leading games, but still coming out victorious.
Who needs to?
Yeah. Million ways to skin a cat.
We led for a minute of one of the games in extra time.
Yep. I genuinely I was not worried when she stepped up to that penalty. I was like, we've won. And when the young Spanish girl put it wide, when Chloe Kelly stepped up, I was like, this is in the bag. I know she missed in normal time against, is it Italy? And then she followed it up with a tap-in on the rebound. But yeah, I've seen her take a lot of penalties. She's really good at them. So yes, Chloe Kelly or Alan Shearer. Take your pick for technique.
Put Chloe Kelly on the bench.
Yeah, Kelly on the bench. Kelly on the bench. We're digressing. What I would like to know, Jack, is who's managing this team.
Alex Ferguson.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I mean, he is. Yeah. He's won 13 league titles.
13 league titles, many doubles, a treble, 3 in a row.
The second he left, Manchester United turned to absolute garbage. Other than under Mourinho, where they were garbage, but at least they were sort of hot garbage. At least they were getting results.
That is true. There is a direct correlation between his departure and them becoming absolute dog shit.
There's two ways to go about managing a football team, shall we say. I know this is very much generalisation, but you're either Alex Ferguson or you're Jurgen Klopp. Either every player wants to give you a hug, or no one wants to come within 50 yards of you in case you give them the hairdryer treatment, essentially. And yeah, his methods were old school, but my God, he got some bang average players playing in the best teams in Premier League history, like Park Ji-sung. I mean, don't get me wrong, bang average is harsh on Park Ji-sung and Nicky Butt and Luke
John
Chadwick
O'Shea,
and
people like that.
John O'Shea.
Yeah, Wes Brown.
They're all good players, obviously, don't get me wrong, but
like he gaslighted me. He gaslighted me into thinking that like United was stacked with like, Man City-esque quality when I was a kid. Just because, as you say, he got like superhuman performances out of guys that were clearly very good pros and clearly very talented players, but they weren't all tier 1 footballers.
There was no way any one of those players, not just because of Ferguson, but also because of obviously Roy Keane and Gary Neville and Jaap Stam and other leaders he constantly had rolling in and out of that team. There was no way any of them weren't giving less than 100% every single game. And he got them fired up. He got them playing a certain way and doing it at 100% pace. And they always found a way to win. They were the fittest team. They were the best disciplined team, generally speaking.
No quit.
And they just had enough quality to win titles and win games. And they weren't putting on 100 points. They weren't putting on 95 points, even like Chelsea managed one season. They were winning the title. One time they won the title on 75 points in 1997.
Yeah.
Sunderland got relegated that season on 40 points. There was 35 points between the champion and getting relegated that season. And it actually should have been one less because Middlesbrough got points deduction. They'd have been on 41 points otherwise. It's mad.
Yeah. It is.
Crazy. But they won it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I agree. He's obviously managing this team. I mean, there are...
But Pep would be a backup.
I was going to say...
And Klopp, not far behind that.
So the thing that's interesting...
And Wenger as well, to be fair.
But this is maybe we can finish on this little debate. You've named them all, and Mourinho. They're the top 5. Like, I would struggle to order them, but what I would say is, like, in Wenger and Klopp's defence, Guardiola and Mourinho have both been oligarch teams.
Yeah.
And with a bottomless pit of resource. And Arsene Wenger in particular didn't have that. And he broke the United monopoly. He got Arsenal their first ever Premier League title. He's the only Arsenal manager to have ever won the Premier League. He obviously did it Invincible. He
changed the game.
Yeah, changed the game, 2 doubles. Just like a pioneer, like an actual pioneer in every meaning of the word. Jurgen Klopp is not dissimilar. I don't think. Like, first Liverpool title for forever. Should have had 3 titles. You know what I mean? Like, I know, like you say, everyone take the piss and say, oh yeah, but that's what you guys were talking about earlier. The league is the league. Sure, but like, just because if you're incredible and your rival is double incredible, doesn't mean that you're not incredible. It doesn't undermine that, That wasn't articulated very well, but I think catch the drift.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Jurgen Klopp is considered one of the top 3 managers in Liverpool history says everything you need to know.
Yeah. When
the other 2 managers are Bill Shankly and Bob Paisley.
Yeah. Esteemed company. I think those 2 deserve like some sort of acknowledgement of the context in which they created their success, because I think Jose and Pep are unbelievable. Like, Mourinho, when he came, I just remember, like, I'd never seen anything like him. This like swashbuckling, charismatic, overtly arrogant.
I think he's really underrated.
Oh, he's so good, Mourinho. Like, first Chelsea title, back-to-backs, 3 league titles. Yeah. Incredible stuff.
I used to hate him, and I'm sure you used to hate him, and I don't know what your feelings for him are now. I am warming so much to him.
He's box office.
The older and older I get, and the more I look back. It's not just because he's box office. I just think he's a genius.
Yeah, he is.
I think he absolutely understands football. From a tactical sense, I think he's up there with the best there's ever been. Like, he's in the top 10 in terms of the pioneers in the sport. And you might disagree, it's not the way the sport should be played, but it's effective.
He understands how to win.
He's been successful at different teams.
But he doesn't just understand how to win. I think the point you made there about him being effective at different teams, like, you could never accuse Mourinho of not giving the absolute maximum out of the sides he's managed. I think every club he's managed...
For 2 or 3 years at least, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, nothing lasts forever, but like, I don't think anyone he's ever managed can say that he didn't extract the most out of them.
No, certainly not.
And like, what else can you say?
He's been successful everywhere he's gone, pretty much. Apart from Spurs, but what can you do there?
Yeah, but he got Spurs to a final. They sacked him.
Well, never managed Spurs in a final.
No, because they sacked him on the eve of a final. Absolutely insane decision.
What a football club.
Yeah, I know.
I've never known a team to fail to capitalise on the position they've been in so badly as Spurs. Spurs should have won something. Like, they should have won a title. Obviously, they won the Europa League last season, don't get me wrong, but that 2019, obviously, they got to the Champions League final. They've been challenging for a couple of Premier League titles before, and they just let it slip. They did not replace some of those players who were aging, the core of that team.
I agree.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound like, I've said this before about Spurs' European trophy. I would happily take it if it was my team, of course, but like, let's get it right. They've won a diet European trophy. Like, listen to our Champions League episode if you want to understand why we think that. It's heavily...
Yes, quite a long rant about that.
It's heavily diluted tournament. Yeah.
Certainly this year it was, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that leaves Pep, mate. Do we really even need to say anything about Pep?
Well, Pep's the pedigree is... I mean, obviously, it's an easy place to go to say he played under Johan Cruyff. And Johan Cruyff obviously was part of incredible footballing pedigree, stretching back to the Dutch team in the 1970s, and inherited the total football mantra and understanding of positional play and the cerebral way he went about playing and coaching. And obviously Pep's inherited that, part of that dream team at Barcelona. But he's built on it so much, and there was sort of this period after 2005, they sort of, as I mentioned, they've weakened the offside law a couple of times, and suddenly there's more space appearing in front of defences, and the way tiki-taka and that sort of approach to football just exploited that and moved players around and created space. Obviously, all football is built on what comes before you, but he has been so incredibly important. Like, 100 years from now, when you're talking about the annals of history and how football came to be what it is at any given time, he is such a huge cog in that, with that Barcelona team, and then obviously with City later on, even if you can obviously criticise where City's ill-gotten gains, if you put it that way, or whatever else. But nevertheless, they wouldn't have won 4 titles in a row, a treble, and everything else if they had an average manager. You just can't.
Yeah, exactly.
They had the best team, and they had the best manager to go with it.
Yeah, 6 titles, 100 points, a double, a treble, 4 in a row. Doesn't happen just because you got lots of money. Like we'd like to dismiss it like that. Let's say it wouldn't have happened if they didn't have lots of money, but just because they have lots of money doesn't guarantee you that.
Teams have had lots of money before,
Yes.
but they've not dominated like that before.
Exactly. In fact, on that point, I think that the only other managers to have ever even won this league are Kenny Dalglish with Blackburn,
Legend.
Carlo Ancelotti with Chelsea,
Legend.
Roberto Mancini with Man City,
Very good.
yeah, Pellegrini with City, and Ranieri with Leicester, and obviously Arne Slot
On a slot.
with
Love him.
with Liverpool. And what I'm trying to say there is that Blackburn were rich.
None of them are English.
Well, none of them are English yet. Blackburn were rich. Carlo Ancelotti at Chelsea, they were rich. City are rich. So only really Ranieri and Arne Slot.
I mean, Liverpool are rich, as they're proving this summer. Let's not pretend that Liverpool aren't rich.
Sorry, I don't...
We just don't have a billionaire investor.
Yes, that's what I'm really... When I say rich in the context of talking about football these days, one has to differentiate.
Football is rich. Everyone is rich.
Yes, yeah. You just have to differentiate between the filthy, astronomically rich and the rich.
But Leicester definitely weren't rich.
Leicester definitely weren't. They were okay. They had been bought out.
They were well supported.
Yeah.
But as we saw as years went by, that quickly disappears when you overinvest, and now Leicester are not rich. Certainly not rich anymore.
No, certainly not. Even despite their FA Cup win. I don't know if there's anything else to cover, mate. Do you I'm just excited for it.
I'm just going to go off and watch some highlights now. Dennis Bergkamp highlights.
Dennis Bergkamp.
Thierry Henry highlights. Matt Letizia highlights.
Yeah.
What a player, though.
Did struggle through COVID, though, didn't he?
I mean, his highlight reel is like nothing else.
Yeah, he was unreal.
How can a player put that little effort into football and be that good at it? It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, if we start going down that rabbit hole, we'll be naming people forever. There's been some real talent.
And it's all on show again. Starting soon. Strap in.
Predictions? Put your money where your mouth is.
Oh, mate, I'm never going to not stop dreaming of the Arsenal. But I think that you must start favourites. You're the current champs.
That's fair.
You've still got Alisson, Van Dijk and Mo. You have spent an inordinate amount of cash on some very talented forwards, particularly Wirtz.
I would just say Man City, they will come back hard. They've still got a great team.
I agree that City will always be there or thereabouts because they're a wounded animal. I think Arsenal are going to be competitive, but I think that our season hinges on how effective Big Vic is.
100%. And I don't know how effective he's going to be. He could go completely either way.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing I would say about him, and I know this is, not any kind of scientific measure, he does have main man energy. He doesn't seem to be...
That's not how you normally describe it. That's not the word you normally use.
He just doesn't look overawed, and I guess that's a good foundation. It's only observational.
I think so.
He just looks like he wants it,
It's always difficult as a striker because you get criticised if you don't score goals, even if you're being really effective. And someone like him can be really effective, even without scoring goals. If you look at the classic target man striker of days past, your Didier Drogba's and the like,
it
doesn't matter how many goals you score sometimes, you will create space for those around you, blah-de-blah, etc. And Arsenal have a lot of talent around him, so
that's true.
I think he probably will score goals, though.
It would help.
I think he'll make you better.
He will certainly make us better. Gives us more options. King Kai will still be doing his bit. It would help if all of our players' hamstrings didn't explode simultaneously this time, and if referees didn't fucking send off all our players.
Excuses.
For kicking the ball away, despite not enforcing that rule ever again, it seems.
Okay, come on. We nearly got through the whole episode.
What, without going in on VAR and the PGMOL? Jesus Christ. They are, we'll spare people.
We'll just do a whole episode on that sometime.
Yeah, we'll spare people that for now.
I'll give you an unplugged mic and just have you rant for a couple of hours about it.
I do think Arsenal could do with a bit more on the left side. So maybe another signing there, but we'll see. But yes, I think it's going to be very fun. Chelsea will be a threat. I mean, it will be very interesting to see what happens with regards to the likes of Newcastle, Villa, United, Spurs. Because I think Thomas Frank is a very good manager.
I do too, yeah.
So
and Brentford, for that matter, what's going to happen to them and a couple of the other teams at the bottom?
Oh God, they've been gutted, haven't they?
Wolves and Brentford and some others.
Yeah.
Obviously, the newly promoted teams.
Brentford, one of the great stories. 2007, 2008, they're in League Two.
Yeah, they've had a couple of good seasons. I think this season, what were they, 11th or 12th? 10th maybe?
Yeah.
They did quite well this season anyway.
Yeah, they did.
But they've always been there or thereabouts with relegation. Never quite in the mix, but generally there or thereabouts. So I don't know.
But they look like
I'm worried about them.
They've lost Frank. They've lost Norgard to us. They've lost Mbuemo. Looks like they're going to lose Visser. They need to reinvest somehow. Fingers crossed for them because we like Brentford.
They need to get it right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Me too. But not the expensive Leeds.
Not the expensive Leeds. Leeds. I really hope Leeds stay up. That would be nice.
Anyway,
who would you like to see go down? Fuck off Burnley. Yeah, Burnley. Fuck them.
Who would I like to see go down? Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspur, and Manchester City after 1,000 points deduction. That'd be nice.
That would be good.
Who do I realistically think will go down?
I don't care for Burnley.
I don't care about Burnley. I would like to see Sunderland stay up, and I'd like to see Leeds stay up.
Same.
I think Wolves are...
Yeah, Wolves are a bit benign, aren't they?
They're a bit Championship now, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And
one more.
Spurs.
Spurs. I don't think that's going to happen, mate.
Fans, I know. I'm an Arsenal fan. Yes. All right. Well, everyone should know where to watch it because we basically told the story.
Yeah. Amazon Prime have a few games and TNT Sports have a few games in England, and I'm sure lots of places around the world have lots and lots of games. And you can watch 3 o'clock kickoffs on a Saturday if you're not in the United Kingdom as well. So bonus there.
Yeah, you can. That's crazy.
You can't watch them in the UK unless you get it on a dodgy feed, obviously, which I would never do.
Never. Good boys here on the Almanac. All right, nice. Well, where are we going next week, Jack?
Next week, all being well, I believe we are going to really, really early preview the Women's Rugby World Cup.
Whoop. That'll be fun.
As in, it doesn't start for a long time, but we've got a pretty packed...
Are we sandwiching that in with the Rugby Championship?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
We'll do a rugby doubleheader.
A bit of rugby,
cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and then it'll be the US Open the week after tennis.
Oh, yeah, Arthur Ashe. Lots to come, as there always is in the sporting calendar. It never disappoints. Excellent. Well, see you soon then, pal.
Yeah, see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Once more, thank you for listening again to the Sporting Almanac podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, then as always, a like, a subscribe, a rate or comment would be great, but please do tell your friends and family first and foremost. It only takes a second and it means a lot to us. The tune onto the intro is from Lowtown Music and our theme tune is Oh Yeah by Harmony Productions. You can find us on Instagram and Blue Sky at The Sporting Almanac or drop us an email at thesportingalmanacpodcast@gmail.com. Next up is some more rugby union ahead of the Rugby Championship and Women's World Cup. Until then, enjoy the football while you still have all your hope and stay curious. Remember, sport is nothing without the history that makes it. Goodbye.